Well guys, the day has come and Super Smash Bros. For 3DS has now finally been released in the States. Once the day came, I went to GameStop for the midnight release and got my own copy. Now, just to let y'all know, not only am I a huge DBZ fan, but I'm also a huge Metal Gear Solid fan as well. In fact, Snake's appearance in Brawl is what inspired me to get into the Metal Gear Solid franchise. Once I bought Brawl and started playing as Snake, I eventually decided to go on eBay and buy my own copy of the Twin Snakes. And I absolutely loved the crap out of this fantastic game. As you can see, I own the Twin Snakes for the GameCube, Sons of Liberty for the PS2, and Snake Eater for the 3DS. Now, back when Smash Bros. For 3DS was still in development, I was really hoping that Snake would come back, or at least have him replaced by Naked Snake, aka Big Boss, since the last Metal Gear Solid game on a Nintendo console was Snake Eater for the 3DS. Now, while I was going through the internet, I've noticed a lot of people saying that they don't want Snake back because they've been saying stuff like he does not fit with Nintendo, and even posting reasons why he shouldn't come back. Well, if all that stuff they say is true, then that should have kept him from getting into Brawl, but clearly it didn't. I think Snake fits in very well with Smash Bros., and I'm going to explain why by showing the Metal Gear series history with Nintendo. First of all, we already know of these two games, Metal Gear Solid the Twin Snakes for the GameCube and Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater for the 3DS. These two games have some pretty interesting Easter eggs. In fact, Mario and Yoshi make cameo appearances in both these games. In the Twin Snakes, when you get to the computer room when you first meet Otacon and fight Gray Fox, you'll come across a Mario and Yoshi doll that make familiar sounds when you shoot them. If you shoot the Mario doll, he would make this sound. And if you shot the Yoshi doll, he would make this sound. Yoshi! Yoshi also makes several cameo appearances in Snake Eater as well. When you shoot them, they make the familiar sound effect from Super Mario World when Mario jumps on a Yoshi. They're also very useful for distracting the guards. Also, in the Twin Snakes, there's a boss in this game known as Psycho Mantis, who blows players' minds by reading their memories. If your memory card contains saved data from certain Nintendo games, such as Super Mario Sunshine, The Wind Waker, and Smash Bros. Melee, Psycho Mantis would name drop them as he commented on what games you previously played. Now, most of you non-Metal Gear Solid fans would probably think that these are the only two Metal Gear Solid games for Nintendo consoles, right? Wrong. There are actually 5 Metal Gear games that have been available for Nintendo consoles. First of all, there's the original Metal Gear that was originally for the MSX. In Japan, this game was also available for the GameCube along with the Twin Snakes. It's also available exclusively on the Japanese Wii Virtual Console. Metal Gear 2, Solid Snake, another game that was originally for the MSX, is also available on the Wii Virtual Console, but only in Japan. And lastly, there's Metal Gear Solid Ghost Babel for Game Boy Color. I've also heard that Kojima Productions is also thinking about bringing Sons of Liberty to the 3DS as well. And if that happens, we will have 6 Metal Gear Solid games on Nintendo consoles. If you want proof that Sons of Liberty may be coming to the 3DS, I'll put the link in the description below. Now, besides just playing Metal Gear games, there are a couple of other Nintendo games published by Konami that Snake has also appeared in. On the Nintendo DS, there's a game called New International Track and Field, which is basically an Olympics game where Snake happens to be a playable character. For the GameCube, there was a game released exclusively in Japan called DreamMix TV World Fighters, where Snake is also a playable character. Snake also makes cameo appearances in the Japanese version of Scribblenauts for the DS and Buktai 2 Solar Boy Django for Game Boy Advance. So far, it looks like Snake has appeared in 10 games for Nintendo consoles, and it looks to me like he fits in just fine with Nintendo. Now, another thing that really annoys me is that a bunch of people say that Snake shouldn't be in because his games are too violent and realistic. Well, that is a load of bull crap, because the Metroid series is also very violent and realistic, and that doesn't seem to keep Samus from being in the game, but I'll bet those people may try to counter my argument by saying he shouldn't be in because his game is rated M for mature. Well, guys, just because a video game character's franchise is rated M, that is no reason for a character to not be in Smash Bros. In fact, did you know that Nintendo is publishing Bayonetta 2, which is an M-rated game? If they wanted to, they could very easily put her in the game. Honestly, these people really need to grow up and expand their horizon. They can't expect Nintendo to rely on kid-friendly games forever. In fact, House of the Dead is an M-rated game series owned by Sega, and Resident Evil is also an M-rated game series owned by Capcom. It does not matter how violent a video game franchise is. If it's relevant to Nintendo's history, then it's allowed to be in Smash Bros. I really do think that Snake should be allowed to come back, because just like Sonic represents Sega and Mega Man represents Capcom, Snake is pretty much known as Konami's most iconic video game mascot. In fact, I think he's become a lot more iconic than Goemon. Now, I'm still hoping that Snake will appear as a downloadable character. Sakurai has stated that there are currently no plans to implement downloadable content or touchscreen controls of any variety. However, he did state that once the game is released, DLC may be something they will take into consideration. So, I'm still keeping my fingers crossed for that. So I hope everyone can respect my opinions, and until next time, I'll see y'all later.
What's wrong? Snake!